Hello, everybody. This is Lips from the band Anvil. You are listening and watching CMS TV.
I scratch your surface down into your life. I see the signs that were here for trouble. All road in the left behind. Killing time on things that money can buy. Kick it out with no doubt. Shout it out, that's what it's all about. Take a ride, one with pride. Don't wanna hide, in you I confide. Living the moment, energy around. Feel the excitement, hear the thundering sound. Badass rock and roll, a window to your soul. Badass rock and roll, having fun is our goal. Bang your head till you're
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today on the show, we dive in once again with a legendary band, with a legendary singer of that band. The band is Anvil. They are back once again, brand new release, one and only. It's out on June the 28th. And here to talk about it is the one and only. It is Lips. Lips, how are you, man?
I'm okay.
Well, it's great to talk to you, man. It's always great to talk to you when there's new music from Anvil. You guys, not that it's any secret, but you guys just continue to work. You continue to crank out music, and you continue to crank out music that's never going to disappoint your fans. So let's, first of all, congratulations on that. And second of all, tell us all about this new one, One and Only.
Well, it represents a certain era, the era that we're living in, which is like right now, and it has, lyrically, it holds on to those things. It, talks about the moment to a degree, in a number of different places throughout the record. So it's, time capsule. That's
right. Exactly.
In the Anvil fashion, each one of our albums is a different time capsule and has a different aspect to it. Each song is vastly different from each other. There's no two really the same. So that's not different for Anvil. I mean, people, the silliness about all your music is the same. Okay, well, all my music's the same. Funny how people all always argue about what their favorite song is when everybody has a different favorite song, because they're all different kinds of songs, and that's what the real truth is.
Right.
And it's in a certain sense hard to completely pigeonhole Anvil. I mean, right from the get-go, people are going, hey, they invented speed metal. There's speed metal. Meanwhile, everybody, all they know is Forge and Fire and Metal on Metal.
Right.
They don't even know 666 or Motor Mount or March of the Crabs or like all the speed metal. They don't even know the songs. But you ask them, do they know Metal on Metal? Yeah, we know that. Is it? So
No.
Right off the bat, there's been somewhat of a, I don't know, misunderstanding or something, or just miscommunication or misinterpretation or all of the above.
Or maybe people are just talking out their ass a little bit.
How unusual.
Exactly. Well, Lips. One thing that I did take note of is that once again you worked with Martin Pfeiffer and Jorg Eucken. What is it that those guys provide? Because this is what, the third or fourth record in a row that you've worked with them. What do they provide production wise that has you keeping going back to them?
Listen how good the albums sound. They keep getting better and better. Yeah, let's go back again. Well, how good? Let's see how far we can take it next time. I mean, no, sonically speaking, phenomenal. As far as their spiritual input, like, is this a good take or is that a bad take? Is phenomenal. They really know the difference. They really can discern the difference in our performances to pick the best, and really good with sound,
Right.
and you know that aspect.
Right on. Are they? When you work with them, are they easier kind of to work with than maybe other producers? And you don't have to name them, but have you had problems with other producers where you felt they didn't quite understand what you were trying to say musically, where these guys just are in tune?
The only problem that we've had with producers is laziness.
Oh,
Plain and simple. Plain and simple as that.
right.
You know.
Right on.
And I'm not going to mention who or why or what. I can just say that the biggest problem with some producers is that they're lazy, and laziness can lead to not caring.
Right. So then they just take any old take instead of reaching for the best one,
or not, or they're being where they should be putting their foot down and saying, you know what, we need to do this again, or we need to, you guys need to write the part differently or do this differently for this to be effective because it's not working. You know, like, tell us the truth.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna let me
Why about it? Why, or but particularly with singing, you know,
right.
I go out on the floor, you're singing, and I'm singing out of my range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, producer, Lips, don't sing like that. Sing in the lower register. Let me hear what that sounds like in the lower register. Try this, try that. Don't you? They're lazy. Yeah, just do whatever the hell you want. You know, they're turning blue, performing these performances that realistically, had the producer been more on the ball, would have said, you know what, sing it in a different register so that you know, or that's just an example.
Sure.
Example. It's not that this necessarily happened. I'm just saying that these are small details that makes a world of difference. But having said that, having a producer at all makes 100% difference.
Sure.
Even if you're lazy.
Right. Do you
they could have pushed it in a certain sense. In certain instances, they could have pushed it to a further degree of who they were and what they were up to and what they were up against. They could have pushed it further, and maybe that's what I'm saying, being a bit lazy or not being as, you know, tough as they should have been.
Sure.
I think that would be a better explanation of what I meant.
Sure.
And some of them was not, and you know, it's not within the personality, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel intimidated. I don't want to tell the artist, you know.
Right. Well, and a lot of them might just be afraid to tell you guys because you guys have been doing it for so long. They just assume you know what you want.
Right. And that's not a good thing.
Right.
That's not a good thing. Everybody should be able to say what they want, when they want, and how they want to say it. And then figure it out. You know,
Right.
like, come on, like we're a team. We're supposed to work together. Anyway,
No doubt.
but in all pure honesty, it's been a pleasure to work with Jorg and Martin. Absolutely, and great guys, and they really know what is right for Anvil. You know, that's more important than anything. Like, you know, this sounds good, that doesn't sound good, and you can believe them.
Right.
There's we better fix this if they're saying something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Right on.
You know, these guys know what the difference is, you know. So yeah, I can't reiterate or talk nicer or say better things about them, because I'm very, very grateful to both of them.
Right on, man. Well, dude, let's talk about some of the messaging in the songs. Now, I know, and I've read interviews with you where you've said that you don't outwardly hit politics, and I'm not going to ask you about politics, but it's very clear that you have thoughts on the mess of society today. You know, do you think that there's political nonsense, left, right, whatever aside, do you think there's any path out of the mess that we're in?
That's a good question, because the problems that we're faced with it's not necessarily political. It's what we've done to credibility. And how do you find credibility?
True. Yeah, and how do you know what's credible?
Who's checking the fact checkers?
Yeah.
You know, like you need a radar detector. You know what I mean?
Right. No doubt, man.
You know, I don't know that I really don't know if there's a way out. That's the problem. And the more that people talk about it, the worse it becomes, because people have their own, you know, it's turned into a world where the truth is nothing more than what you want to believe.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's really, I'm a big believer that social media is a big part of the problem, because now everybody is an authority when really nobody is an authority. But, you know, I have more followers, so I must make more sense than you. You know, it's a crazy way to live.
Well, no, what is the worst thing of it is that's caused this is the fact that everybody's got a soapbox to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all the voices are of equal volume. So the sensible people are at the same volume as the idiots. But
Right.
but not only are the idiots are at the same volume, there's more idiots. Right? So then what happens to the truth?
Well, as you said in the album,
Gets lost in the stupidity, man.
right?
And it's up to you as the individual to somehow discern the difference. You know, wipe the shit off the fucking gold to find the gold. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pardon all my expression, but sometimes it feels like that. You're looking for the information. Like, can all this garbage get out of the way so I can find out the facts? You know, like just some of the and what has brought all this on is the craziness of the pandemic, and it comes down to the vaccine or no vaccine. It comes down to the 5G technology, and then mixed with nanobots, and you put all this shit together, and the next thing you know, government has got remote controls on everybody who gets the vaccine, because the vaccine's got nanobots in it, which is Star Trek technology, and
Right.
control you. So if you don't comply, they can put you to death just by pressing a button. And this was some of the shit that was being garbage that was being spread around during the pandemic. You just think about what level of insanity is that? It sounds like a sci-fi novel. You know what I mean? It
Right.
doesn't, like, come on.
Right.
Man, people have got too much time to sit around and think of crazy stuff that's completely nonsense, and you're making it up. Make it up as you go. I mean, there are people that were saying that it's alien, that it's an alien technology or alien disease, that COVID was put here by aliens. You name it. You name it. And what the problem is, and what I'm saying is, initially, it's you've got social media where everybody gets a soapbox. Anybody can say anything about any subject, whether they know what they're talking about or not. And they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this kind of stuff used to be reserved for, kind of just talking at the bar. This was the kind of stuff you'd be sitting at the bar and you might say, oh, you're not going to believe what I read, this or that. Now it's like put out there like it's truth, and people run with it. It's craziness.
Yeah, and then because they didn't effectively check the facts or even read about what they're talking about, they're just parrot what somebody else parroted, and it's like broken telephone, and the conspiracy gets even more cloudy and more crazy as it moves along.
Right, certainly. Is this kind of what your song "Truth Is Dying" is all about?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's about, it's really, there's an underlying whole thing about it. Obviously, condemned liberty as well as touches upon that. And what condemned liberty is really talking more about is the abuse of our freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens as a result of our freedom abuse is we put laws and vote laws into position, and we're losing all of our fucking rights.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
It's fine.
I get emotional about it because I'm passionate about it. In other words, the same dipstick that walked into the airport with a bomb in his shoe ruined it for everybody for years to come. Everybody has to take their shoes off to go through security.
Right.
And that's just an example. Just because he was originally allowed to walk through with his shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
He had the freedom to do that. And because he did that, now we all lose our freedom. So that's just a raw example of one minor thing. But believe me, all of the stuff everything that happens when they change laws and change all these different things on almost on a daily basis to keep up with all the criminal activity, that the little amendments they make on this, on that, and everything. Before you know it, we're going to all feel like we're in jail.
Well, yeah. Well,
we've already lost. Really, we've already lost our freedom, our freedom of expression to a great degree, and that is because of neo-Nazis. It's because of people abusing what we were taking for granted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and as soon as you put in a law for one thing, it's a law for everything. If you can understand it, it broad strokes everything, and it takes out your freedom. So slowly but surely, from these crazy activities, we're going to end up in a dictatorship.
Right.
It's going to be the only way to control a society that has lost its complete direction. Because that's what happens That's when you get communism. That's what revolutions in the other countries have happened, and why they ended up there. Because there's no one to trust anymore, and eventually you gotta get a government or something in place that you have no choice but to trust, and that's communism. Sorry, I hate to be the one that I'm just raising the. Be aware of where we're going and why we're going there, and the next time you vote, make sure that you vote. And make sure you're voting for somebody that you did a lot of research on to find out what exactly they're going to do or what what their intentions are. But who knows? Sometimes it sounds like it's the right guy. He's going to make. We're going to be more secure. More secure means more rights get stepped on. Just know that you're going to. It means more rules. More rules mean more rules, don't they?
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, not to go way back, but obviously everybody and their brother was all on board with the the Patriot Act back in 2001, 02, whenever, right after 9/11. I bet if you look at it now, people wouldn't be so willing to just say, yeah, sure. Scan my phone, scan my internet, scan everything that I do. It's what might feel good does.
Because it was possible for guys with box cutters to get into the planes and do those things, or even if it was an inside job, which even makes it worse. Okay, it just the whole idea of what happened with 9/11 really tainted our world in such a way that we lost so much in rights as a result. How do you keep an eye on it? You got to have your security, and in the name of security, we lose our rights.
No, you're right.
It's just that's what I'm talking about. So, in a certain sense, we're condemning ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves. It's not, and willingly, and putting it in place and voting for it and saying, yeah, this is what we want. And not thinking enough into the future, or maybe not thinking about what it implies and the complications and everything that it's going to bring in the future, or what are we actually losing? What are we gaining and what are we losing? Like those things, the real balance of things are not. It's very, very hard to see when you're scared.
True.
And you've got a media that's in constant work and keeping people scared.
Yeah. And that is what they do.
They're real good at it.
Yeah, that's why they're all worth billions of dollars, right? Because they're the best at doing that.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Lips, Anvil has always been kind of like the underdog of metal, and certainly the documentary showed that, but even before the documentary, a lot of people knew that. Looking at the music industry now, though, is there any way to survive as the underdog, or is music just doomed to be crushed by the lack of compensation that you guys make and the costs to get out there and tour and all that stuff? Is there any way to keep surviving? And really, is there any way for a new band to come up?
These are obviously great questions that I have no answers to.
Okay.
Because to be really honest, it's I don't know if there's a way in today's world for a young band. Is there a way? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't envy it. That's for sure. So I really don't. I have no advice, because it's not the same world. Everything that I did, you can't do it anymore. It doesn't exist to do it. So I don't know. How do you do it? I guess you can try and do it the old way and to see if it works. And what is that? That's you put a band together and you do covers of the stuff that closest resembles your own originals. And you really want to get someplace. You got to be doing 2 of your originals to 1 copy.
Right.
Go out and you play gigs like that. 2 of your own, 1 a copy. 2 of your own, 1 copy. And you do it like that. And you also have to somehow put yourself in a position where you don't depend on money for the band to exist. That
right.
The band, even you're not putting the weight of making money on the band, because if you do that, you're doomed to start with. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Do they let you into movie theaters for free? Do
Nope.
they let you go to the bowling alley? Here, have a good time. It's all yours. They let
Right.
you do that anywhere where you want to go entertain yourself. It costs money. So you got to look at it. Rock and roll costs money. So I'm going to have to finance this. So what you got to do? It means you got to have a day job. You got to set your life up that you got a day job. And if you're in a relationship, you got to be in a relationship that your wife or your spouse it can put up with that, is willing to put up with that. And the inconsistency of money and everything else, and the hardships that come with it, you got to set yourself up.
Right.
As simple as that. So can you do all these things? I don't know. You're asking me a question that I that's why I'm saying I'm not the one to ask. I'm just saying the things I did. I found day jobs that would only take up half my day because I needed the other half a day to play my music.
Right.
So there had to be, and there had to be, it had to be at such a place that or meaningless enough that if I have to, I quit and then go get a job when I get back. You know what I'm saying? One or the other. But you always had to be set up to be able to do this, and pay for it, and be willing to pay for it. It's just like anything else. If and when you hit pay dirt, that's a whole different thing. Well, then you get some of your money back.
Right.
I mean, that's what's happened to me now. Is it took the first 30 years. I went into debt, and then the movie happened, and now I'm starting to get paid. I'm getting paid for what I'm doing.
Right.
It's a completely different set of scenario, but it's the opposite to what I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but look at how many years I had to put into it to get that to happen. And
Right on.
It's a huge risk. Huge risk.
No, it is. Well, thankfully it happened for Anvil. Of course, one more time, the new album is out on June the 28th, and you should buy it so that Lips continues to be successful here. It's called One and Only. It's out on June the 28th. Buy it, please. Don't just stream it. Buy it. These guys, they live off of the purchases, not off of the streams. So, Lips,
gigs. Come see our gigs.
Yeah, absolutely. Come see the gigs.
Really important. That's where Anvil is Anvil.
Right on. Well, one more time, the album is called One and Only. There's the cover. That's what you're looking for. And Lips, thanks so much for joining me here on CHRIS Akin Presents.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Feed your fantasy. Feed your fantasy. Feed your fantasy. Make your dream come true. It's what you do. Living it too. Through and through. Feed your fantasy. Feed your fantasy. Make your time worthwhile. Make you smile. your fantasy what it's got to be. Feed your fantasy. Feed your fantasy what it's got to be. Feed your fantasy.
The true hub for CHRIS Akin Presents is their website, www.chrisakin.net. You can watch all live episodes of the show live, participate in the chat as well. You can get past shows in both audio and video on demand formats. Join Eric Ferentinos' VIP Facebook group right from our page. Bookmark it today. www.chrisakin.net. That's CHRISAKIN.